I'm Keith Henson. I've been a commercial landscape photographer now for 20 years. I was an original user of the 1DS Canon digital camera, and for the last 3 months I've been using the 1DS Mark III. It's revolutionised the results that can be achieved, and today we're going to look at some of the things it's capable of doing and the results that can be achieved with it. So one of the headline features of this camera is the full frame sensor. So what does that mean to you and your landscape photography? Well, for a start, your lenses work exactly the way you expect them to work. Wide angle is wide angle. Also, if you're particular about depth of field, you're going to get the depth of field that you expect. So why? So on a smaller sensor, the depth of field is increased. Now, working up at f16, f22, this is not going to mean a lot to you. But if you want to work at 5.6, even at 2.8, you're going to get the depth of field that you want. So in terms of composition, a full frame, bright, 100% coverage viewfinder is invaluable to your work. What your lens sees, you see through the viewfinder. You're not going to get home and find something in the corner of the frame that you didn't see at the time where you've got to start cropping away at it. The picture you see in here is the picture that you're going to get. And in low light conditions, this bright viewfinder is going to be an invaluable aid to manual focusing. So in terms of resolution, we've got a 21 megapixel sensor in this camera. The 1DS Mark II featured 16.7. This is a big jump in terms of resolution. We're now able to capture fine detail and start to equal 645 medium film format cameras. And all this is contained within a 35mm body. It's light, it's portable, it's easy to use. And I'm able to use as well the full range of EF lenses. So along with the 21 million pixels and a full frame sensor, I've got 2 Digit 3 processors in this camera. The Digit 3 processor gives me 14-bit analog to digital conversion. This 14-bit processor also gives me an extended dynamic range. So what does this mean? This means that we're able to capture a wider range between shadow and highlights. So here we are at the water's edge, ready to take this shot. We talked earlier about the bright viewfinder and how it's invaluable to focusing. But we're going to look at now at live view mode. You'll often hear people say that live view mode is only useful in a studio situation. But here in the landscape, we're going to look at the advantages of using it here. We're going to activate it with a simple press of the button. We can now zoom in to whatever magnification we choose, pick our focus point and tweak the focus with the lens. We get a grid display to aid composition if we want it, and we can also move the grad up and down within the frame, position it where we need it to. Plus, we also get a live histogram. We can see the histogram of the shot before we even take it. We know that we've got the shot as soon as we press the button. My old 1DS Mark II has been dropped in the sea twice, and with nothing more than a wipe down with a clean cloth, it was up and shooting again straight away. And with the 1DS Mark III, we're not out there worrying about getting it wet. Also, when we're out shooting on a beach, we have the problem of sand. As we all know, sand gets everywhere. Where it doesn't get is into the body of the 1DS Mark III. As well as the weather sealing, this new 1DS Mark III has a magnesium chassis and a magnesium body. This gives it a lightweight durability. I've dropped 1DS series cameras and smashed lenses to pieces, put a new lens on and just carried on shooting. We talked about resolution earlier on, so let's go back to the studio and have a look at what this 21 megapixel CMOS sensor really gives you. So we're back at the studio and a chance to look at some of the images produced by the 1DS Mark III. This image of Blackrock Cottage in Scotland clearly demonstrates the high dynamic range of this camera. From the dark sky, from the black hills and the black foreground, right through to the white painted brickwork of the cottage, and yet still retains all the detail in that cottage. There were 60-mile-an-hour winds blowing, rain, sleet and snow being thrown at us, yet the camera stood out there for half an hour dripping in water and continued to work throughout and afterwards as well. Here's another shot clearly demonstrating the expanded dynamic range of this camera using the Digic 3 processor. We can see that it's captured in these shadow areas all the minutest of detail, and yet through the tunnel where the sunlight's hitting the station, we've still got the detail there, nothing's blown out or disappearing. What this also demonstrates is the autofocus capabilities of this camera. I chose to focus on the hat of the man stood here, and the autofocus on a 300mm lens locked on immediately despite this strong backlight. With this image of Warbarrow Bay in Dorset on the south coast of England, it's demonstrating the resolution power of this 21 megapixel camera. We're capturing fine detail in the foreground with the small shells on the rocks, and that detail runs right the way through the image to this cliff face in the background where we're still picking up the texture and shape on there. What we're also getting with this 14-bit analog to digital 14-bit processor is a fantastic capture of colour, a wide range of colour variation and great graduation between the shades of those colours. We can see the colour in the sky running right through without any blocking, same with the colour in the sea. Absolutely no blocking in the graduation of those colours whatsoever. Some lovely deep greens captured in this corner, right through to the lovely vivid orange up in the top right. On this 2.5 second exposure, when we zoom in on those infamous blue channels in the sky, we're getting a fine, smooth graduation with no noise at all. And of course the bane of every landscape photographer using a digital camera, dust spots. With the 1DS Mark III you get inbuilt sensor cleaning. The frequency with which we have to clean the sensor has been dramatically reduced. It takes away that fear that some people have of opening the camera up and cleaning the sensor. And you can imagine what it's like to zoom in on an image when you get it on the screen and find you just saved yourself 15 minutes work because you don't have to do anything.